Stellar Cartography has requested a communications blackout while they run an experiment. Library systems have been allocated to Stellar Cartography, and replicator systems are offline at the request of Stellar Cartography. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 19, that's 619, that's a San Diego area code, entitled Lessons, written by Ronald D. Wilkerson and Jean-Louise Matthias. This is directed by Robert Weimer, and it was April 3rd, 1993. Where were you, and how are you today, Sirach Lofton?
Hello, I'm good. I am doing good. I thought of a bad joke while you were introing, so.
You know I'm ready for it.
All right. Well, only thing I've ever heard of is stellar fartography.
Sirach, that just means you're mapping out farts. And wait, no, that's no, because the cart part is the mapping. So I guess it's like it's measuring stars with farts, I guess, maybe. Or, I don't know.
No, they're stellar, like amazing farts.
Oh,
you gotta rework the wording.
Yeah, I think you may be right. All right, I'm down with that. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, regardless of what we're talking about. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And visit us at patreon.com/the7th-rule to become a part of the show and make your own fart jokes. All right. So, Sirach, I've seen this episode before, only a couple times. However, I'm guessing you've never seen this episode. What'd you think of it?
Okay.
Oh boy.
This is what I think. No, nothing bad. I don't really have anything bad to say. I can say this. As an adult, now I'm in my 40s, so I can look at this from the lens of the experience that I've lived already, and the relationships I've had, and life adventures. And when I look at it through that lens now as an adult, I can see that this is an interesting episode to me at this age and at this point in my life. Now, had I watched this in 1993 as a kid who was around 15 at that time, I probably would have been like, what is it with all of this stuff, man? This classical music, relationship, slow talk, and all this stuff that I don't care about. And it probably would not have appealed to that version of me. But now at this age, I think this is a stellar, to bring that word back, episode that really speaks to a lot of things that touched me kind of emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sirach, have I got news for you? I had seen this episode back in the 90s. I don't know if it was 93. I don't know if it was, but it was close to its first run. Somewhere in the 90s I'd seen it. And when it was coming up, I was like, Lessons? What's Lessons? And I saw it and I was like, oh, the one where they're playing the fucking piano in the Jeffries tube. So, I was that guy you're talking about. However, I too found significant value in this episode upon watching it this time. And I don't know if I've changed or if the episode itself has changed. My guess is probably me. But there were a couple things that I found tremendous value in, actually. So I think that's really cool that you're watching it for the first time here and liking it probably in a similar way to I did, and you probably would not have liked it back then, just like I probably didn't, because I was just like, I don't care, man. I don't,
if you're not a music, I was one of those kids that like thought music classes was something that I wanted to avoid. Right, it was a mandatory thing at some point in my life in school, so I had to play an instrument and pick one. I picked the violin. So when I saw Data playing the
Me
violin,
too. Me too.
I thought, all right, yeah, that's the one I would have picked too, Data. Right, so. But anyways, other than that, it was more like a laborious thing for me as a student who didn't have the natural gift or inclination or upbringing with music in the household. So I didn't have the kind of gene in my system that allowed me to really gravitate towards music in that way where I wanted to play an instrument to that degree. So if somebody had to give me piano lessons, I would be like, oh God, here we go with the piano lessons. And it might be something that I would have resented. So that's why I can see this being off-putting for somebody of that age who doesn't have that inclination already in them. But as an adult who's interested in the nuances of relationships and intimate moments and the understanding of the backstory behind that flute and what it meant in the previous episode that we've seen and how he's basically recalling those experiences, and this is a therapy type of episode for Picard's character. I liked it for those reasons, and I thought, oh man, this is really good. This is interesting, and I thought the woman who played Lieutenant Commander Darren did a fantastic job of bringing out the performance that I thought Picard gave us.
Yeah. So let me say, from a different point of view, I am a musician. I too was forced to take music lessons in like elementary school, and I faked my way through violin. It was a chore. I did not like it. It wasn't a thing. My brother did cello and then later trumpet. Yeesh. But later, that was like when I was like 7 or something. But then later on in life, I did pick up the guitar and the drums and the bass and a couple other things. And, I played in bands and I had a lot of fun and, kind of a music study. However, that the classical stuff and all this stuff, it's still a no-go for me. Like I'm just as disinterested in that stuff as you are in that case, because there's so much, so many things with music. You can still appreciate it and listen to it, but not be passionate about it or interested in it. But, as you mentioned, basically, this was just a tool that the writers used to create a bond between Picard and her. The other option they could have used is his passion for archaeology, but they already used that with Vosh. So they needed something
Another
new that he's passionate about, so they could convince us that he could fall in love in 14 minutes. And that flute was a brilliant idea because we knew how much powerful meaning it had to him because of the inner light. And you remember that one well.
Absolutely. A fantastic recall. One of the best recalls of an episode in this episode.
I agree.
I think ever that I can think of is, I'm sure there's other examples of it, but for right now, as far as being a almost 2-second part of Inner Light, essentially like a closure or a full circle of it, it's a manifestation of it in the real. So the love he's experiencing with this woman is the kind of love that he experienced in that Inner Light episode, and so it's a perfect drawback, perfect callback. The music, he was reluctant to play that flute after that experience because it meant so much to him. So he had that tucked away, and he finally broke it back out, and she invited him to be open and go get over his inhibitions in that moment that they had between them in that scene where she was building up his confidence and simplifying the notes and saying, let's start at the basics and work our way up. And all of that I thought was tender, beautiful, elegant, well done, good performances, great everything, directing, music. I mean, and when it comes to Chopin and Bach and all of the classical music that they talked about, I have an appreciation for it because I understand the mastery that goes behind composition.
They are the masters. Yeah.
Right. They have built a foundation that all music, all genres of music have benefited from the foundational works of the classics, and the melodies
Mhm.
and the
And
the
it's
playing of rhythms.
so much more sophisticated than anything we do now. Like, it's unreal. If
That's why the composition, the music composition,
I know, I know.
the Beethoven, the Bach, all of that stuff, I have supreme respect for. I
Mhm.
just don't have the knowledge of playing such and such in a G minor and doing this and doing that. I don't understand. I don't have a recollection of what song is who's what song. I may hear a song and say, "Oh, that's familiar to me. I know that song," but I couldn't say, "Oh, that's
And you're not
Beethoven's
gonna be able to say the key, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and I definitely can't say it. So
Yeah,
no,
me neither.
but can I respect it? Yes, and this similarly with opera that I don't have a knowledge of, and real desire to see. I also have a respect for the art and the craftsmanship and the work that goes behind
Mhm.
opera performances, for example. I,
Yeah.
I I don't go to see operas, but
No, I'd
at the
rather
same
opera didn't
time,
exist personally, but
well, not really, but I respect the art form. So once again, I just thought this was a great episode. They brought the music element, they brought the inner light element, they brought so much into this episode, and also I thought it gave us a good chance to see how supportive the crew is of their captain. You saw Troy come in and have a moment with him. You saw Riker come out and have moments with him, and there were just people there being supportive of their captain and his romance and things of that nature. So I thought it was well written. They covered so many points. For example, with workplace intimacy as a subject, I thought that was very forward thinking of them. And I don't know how much of workplace relationships was a no-no in '93 and '92 when this was written, but
less probably, yeah.
it's certainly a bigger no-no today than it probably was in '93, and that's very forward thinking of them. And I thought it was a very good moment when Picard comes and he says, "I'd like to talk to you, Troy, about
Yeah.
the workplace code, and you know I don't want to violate these kinds of rules, and I don't want any kind of inappropriate behavior or conduct on my part or anyone else's. And is this the right thing to do?" So he's seeking counseling as far as this relationship goes. It seems genuine on his part. It seems like he's not trying to be a person who leverages his power over another individual in order to gain um, you know, sexual favor. So I think he was aware of all of those things, and to have that conversation with Troy in that
Mhm.
scene shows me that the writers were sensitive to these kinds of issues at that time.
Yeah, and he was, and they this was actually in the script. They said it in the dialogue, but he was in a way asking Troy for her permission, asking for her blessing, not just her professional thoughts or protocol or advice, but more like he's saying, "Hey, as a friend that I trust, do you think this is morally okay? Or am I blurring the lines? Am I overstepping some boundaries, or what's going on here?" And Troy, I think may have had the line of the episode where she said, when he says, first she says, "Oh, you mean between you and Nella Darren?" And he says, "Is it that obvious?" And she says, "In a way that pleases people that care about your happiness, yes." So basically, like, the people that care about your happiness are going to notice, and it makes them happy, and it's not that big of a deal. And then later on, she says, "Captain, are you asking for my permission?" And he says, "If I were, would you give it?" And then she gives a beautiful smile and says, "Yes." And I thought, again, Marina Sirtis does something that I've noticed a lot recently, which is very often she doesn't get a lot of lines in an episode, sometimes zero or one,
Yeah,
but she shows up for those lines. And when she gave yes, one word, but she gave like this beautiful good energy, great smile, pleasant. It told so much in that moment. Like, dude, she doesn't take lines off. She doesn't take scenes off. She gives it everything. The other person that I think does that really well is Alexander Siddig on Deep Space Nine. Like I said, a lot of times he would have, his line was, "Yes, sir." But every single time he put something behind that "yes, sir" to tell more of the story of the scene. Like there was no wasted lines with him. Anyways, I think she does that very well, and I thought that was a really good scene.
It was a beautiful scene. It just showed, one, that he confided in her. He was also conscious of there being perhaps an inappropriate kind of perception out there, and he wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case. Just shows his level of self-awareness. I thought it was beautiful. I thought her performance was great. There were other moments too that I thought people delivered fantastic performances. And for example, Dr. Crusher, Gates McFadden, had a really beautiful moment.
Oh yeah,
with Darren, with Commander Darren.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was kind of fixing her up, and she's like, "Yeah, I just doing a lot of work in music lately," and she's like, "Oh yeah, okay." And
a lot of subtext in that.
A lot of subtext.
But Nella Darren doesn't know the subtext. The subtext is there for the audience to pick up on. What Beverly usually subtext is between two people, but it felt like the subtext was only in what Beverly was saying and thinking and feeling. We're catching it. When she says,
we're catching it from her facial reactions. Exactly.
She's like, "Oh, another duet." And we're like, "Oh, poor Bev. She's putting on a brave face, but she's like, I see how it is. All right. Okay. I'm happy for you. Great."
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, another duet." Like she's like, "You rushing over to, yeah.
Guess it's serious.
Yeah.
I guess I'm free tonight."
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And I thought that was a very good scene with Gates, as far as just playing that subtext and giving us those moments where she's still showing compassion to her patient. She's trying to, make sure that she's there for her. And she's also not throwing any salt or shade on their relationship. She's just registering what the deal is at this point.
Right. Especially because the part that's a little rough on her is that she's hearing it from Nella Darren. She's not hearing it from Jean-Luc Picard, her friend, or potentially her love interest. She's hearing it from the new girl that just freaking showed up 5 seconds ago. And she's like, "Oh, so she has to find out from her." That kind of stings a little bit, and we can feel her pain there. Obviously, it makes for a great scene. Because
actually, you're 100% right, because I want to add to that really quickly. Yeah. Because there was a moment there I was a little bit disappointed with Picard.
Yes, when he did not divulge.
When he did not divulge the tea, right?
Yes.
She's like, "Oh, that tea is very good." He's like, "Yeah, I just
picked
it up from the computer program."
I was like, "Jean-Luc."
Yeah, you do. I was like,
"We know what that is."
That is a little white lie right there, but it's enough. It's enough of a white lie where you're like, you don't want to divulge that you got it from her. And I just thought, and then not only that, but then he starts going on about other things that you got from her. Like, did you know that the Daenerys, whatever the hell he's talking about.
Which is so cute that he's nerding out like that, but it's also a little shady. I mean, let's just say they're just friends. If they're just friends, it's still kind of shady that he's not telling her, and it's kind of it stings a little bit.
Hiding.
But if there's a little bit more than friendship there, which we always know there might always be that little extra tinge of something there, then he shouldn't be feeding the new girl's tea to the current girl's mouth. I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's like regifting in a way. Like he's like, come on, that's where you got to push. That's where you're crossing a line, is when he's actually giving the new girls tea and be like, "What do you think of this delicious tea? Huh? You love that."
It's like if you're with somebody and they're like, "Hey, let's go to this restaurant. It's really great. They got barbecue or whatever they got there. It's really great." And you're like, "Oh, that's great. What did you hear about it?" And you're like, "I just found it on Yelp."
Yeah,
No,
I
you
just
went
went
out.
yesterday on a
Yeah.
first date with this girl I like.
Yes. Yes. You're
Yeah.
hiding something, and it's not necessary if you're really truly in a real. That's one thing I respect about Riker's relationship with Troy. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He doesn't have to like. He doesn't lie about stuff.
Nope, they're
He
very
doesn't
open.
lie about stuff. He's like, look, I like this girl, and we hit it off. And he doesn't say anything. He's very upfront about things, and she has, she at least she has all the information to base a decision now. Now, Crusher's got to hear about this relationship going on through her when she just finished hanging out with Picard. He didn't say nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was a little bit. I felt like the T thing was a little white lie that he didn't need to do. Just say, "Oh, Commander Darren, she told me about. Commander Darren mentioned it today
Yeah.
briefly."
But we know then Beverly would be like, oh, Commander, the new girl? What's up with her? Oh, well,
Oh,
yes,
nothing. Oh, nothing.
yeah.
Just a tea. I just needed some tea, and
And some
Replimat,
A.
the Replimat and things of that nature were down. You know that.
Yeah, so Bev, we definitely felt for her. She took things
I did.
well, but
This
we
was
could
a
see a little
Dr.
sting.
Crusher must suffer episode. I
Yes.
think.
It would have been interesting to see kind of the evolution of what happens with Crusher at the end of this episode. Like if they go back to having dinner together, or if she walks by and she's about to ring his little doorbell thing, and then she just kind of has a moment and then keeps walking, and then end credits. Wouldn't that be a nice way to end it? She's walked up,
Yeah,
she's about to
I
ring
would have
in,
that.
and she thinks differently, and she walks down the corridor and end credits like that. I think that'd be pretty cool, and it would give us a little bit of like the arc of what's going on with their relationship there. Anyway,
and she could have even had a walkaway line, like let him play with his flute alone.
yeah, yeah. There's a. Might as well just take our break right there before I say anything more. But on the other side, I would love to talk about what I think is what I found to be the best element of this episode. I mean, we haven't even gotten into the whole thing yet. There's so much to this episode, actually. For an episode that didn't really have a lot, it hit on a few things.
It did.
All right, so we'll be right back, everybody, on the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the seventh rule with Sirach frickin' Lofton.
Hello.
Coolest dude in the room. Which room? Any room. Here are the trivioids of the week. Stellar Cartography has requested a communications blackout while they run an experiment. Library systems have been allocated to Stellar Cartography. Replicator systems are offline at the request of Stellar Cartography. Captain Picard doesn't like Darren's herbal tea blend number 3. Captain Picard wants Riker to fence with him as long as he enjoys it. Oh, it's like that Chia commercial. Chia. There's a duet in the fourth intersect. Is that right? Yeah, there's a duet in the fourth intersect of Jeffrey's Tube 25. Nella Darren has heard about Corellian tenors all her life. Ensign Cabot wants to transfer to stellar cartography, but quantum mechanics doesn't want to give him up. Nella Darren led a team of geologists to study the plasma geyser on Melnose 4. There are a lot of good trivioids in this one. More than last week with the guy that only spoke in trivia, Hutch. Call me Hutch.
Yeah, that's a lot of trivia.
Back to this one. It really hit on something too. I don't know if it was 100% the point of it, but from Riker's point of view, I have personally, and I think a lot of us have personally lived this life where you hit this angle a few times where your boss or your friend or your partner or your whatever has a significant other.
Yes.
That
Speak on it.
That, man, I can't speak on it too much.
All right, not too much.
But I will say that I've been in that situation many times, and some people, obviously, it's no problem. plenty of times. But other times, it is a problem. And it makes things difficult and awkward at best, and disastrous and catastrophic at worst. And some things get, whether it's a producer bringing on their significant other as the lead actor in something, or whether it's, a director bringing on a producer to run something that's never been a producer before. You're just like, what is going on? Anyway, so that happens all the time.
All the time.
And I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see it from afar and you go, ooh, that's messy. Sometimes you're right in it. That's not.
Yeah, but you know what? To be fair though, I didn't think that the requests that were being made were outside of normal job requests.
Mm-hmm.
Her priority is getting her mission accomplished, and Riker's priority is balancing everybody's priorities and finding which one has to be moved into the front. So everybody reports to Riker. He's going to, make decisions on who has priority, basically. And all of us have to do this in our lives. We show up to work, and there's 50 things to do, but there's two things that are very important that really need to be done more than. But I'm just saying, there's priorities essentially, right? I deal with this too. Like one person has a light bulb is out, and the other person has a water leak in their living room. You're not going to go to the light bulb guy and spend 30 minutes working on his light bulb that's out. You're going to go to the flood that's happening currently at this moment, right? And so there's just a matter of priorities in every job. We all deal with it, and that's it. You have to deal with what's most important to deal with first. So I thought that the requests that were being made by Commander Darren weren't unusual. There was just that one moment where he was like, I'll do it tomorrow. And she's like, tomorrow.
Yeah. So speaking of light bulb, how many rats does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
2, but I don't know how they got in there.
Okay.
To screw in a light bulb. Anyway, the point is that here's the key. I agree with you completely that what she was doing was just being herself and doing her job in the way that she would do it, even if she didn't even know who Captain Picard was. And that was exactly what actually, to me, made this such a great and poignant aspect of this episode, is that they handled it so well. All 3 people involved. And I was like, man, if everybody were like Star Trek people, because first you're like, okay, she's kind of a problem. She kind of bugs. She kind of insists. Whatever.
All right.
Okay, but that's who she is. That's how she got where she got. Okay. Yeah. But it's not necessarily inappropriate. It's basically at the level of even slightly less than, say, like Lieutenant Commander Shelby, who was like, get out of my way, Riker. Like, she was a little crazier.
Yeah.
So Riker,
she was pushy, but not aggressively or disrespectful.
Riker comes to Picard, and he's not blaming her. He's not saying she's a problem, because if she was a problem, he would do something about it. He's saying he doesn't feel comfortable because now suddenly she's asking for these things that are kind of pushing the line. And normally as a commander, he says yes or he says no. He doesn't care how hard you push. Go ahead and push.
Right.
I'm saying no. But then he's
Riker gets in front of it, though. Yeah. He gets in front of it by talking to Picard about it. Yes.
Right. And he doesn't complain about her. He says that she's asking some things that are making him begin to feel uncomfortable, like he's being put in a bad situation. So he's handling it really well. Picard then handles it even better, where he says, well, is she asking anything that's inappropriate? And he said, no. She's basically just doing what, her best to do her job. And then I want to make sure to get this quote right, because
it was a great scene. as
He says,
far as just communication goes between this.
right. He says, Riker says, I'm beginning to feel uncomfortable with the request. And he says, Picard says something to the effect of, do you feel she is just doing her job? Riker says, yes, sir. Kind of questioning, like, I don't see where you're going with this. And Picard says, then let her do it. And you feel free to do yours. I've always had absolute confidence in your judgment. And this was just so good because this works for all three. All three of them come out looking good in a difficult and awkward situation. And I feel like we should all take notes on this. Picard is saying, hey, I trust you and your judgment. If you have to snap her back 50 times, I'll trust you all 50 times. And if you say yes to her 50 times, I will know all 50 times that it's because you thought this was the right decision. And so to me, A+ writing, A+ characters, I was very happy with that.
And that came to a callback later on when she was the one that was asked to head the team to put up the thermal shield. And there was an exchange between Picard and her where he's like, are you sure you're up? And she's like, I think Riker picked me because I'm the best person for this job, not because he's trying to do me any favors. Or again, back to this, nepotism that may exist. And she was like, I don't think I'm being, selected because he wants to make you look good or please you in any way. I think he picked me to run this because of that. Now that, again, back to what you said, I trust you, Riker, no matter what. When he lost her, or thought he lost her in the accident, then again, that would fall on his trust for Riker, right? Because it's like, Riker, I trust that, you're going to make the best decisions. Well, 50 times out of 50, I got your back. And in that moment when he thought she was lost, that would have meant that it was Riker's call, and there would have been something there. There would have been something there because you saw he felt empty. He started to drain his energy. He was feeling a sense of remorse and loss that was about to handicap him as a captain, essentially, and that's why they had to separate. But that would have fell on Riker's shoulders, essentially. He would have placed a small level of resentment or guilt towards Riker.
Yeah. And this is actually it's a very mature episode. Not just it's maturely written, but it shows us this is how to address difficult situations. And it's not unbelievable, like in a case where you say, well, of course they can do it. They're in Star Trek and they're this and that. No. But in my real life situation, it's not that easy. But actually, the way they addressed it, I feel like you could. I feel like I could have taken lessons and been like, next time this happens, I can just go up and say, hey, look, there are a couple things I'm uncomfortable with. How should I proceed? What do you think? And see if something great comes out.
Because let me say this: the opposite of what could happen is this: if Riker doesn't say anything to Captain Picard, and he holds inside of him this idea that she's wielding her relationship with him around to get what she wants done, and that just festers and grows in his mind without any actual confirmation that that's what exists, it will continue to snowball until it becomes such a problem that there's an explosive moment out of it that doesn't need to happen.
That's right. It's going to build resentment, and then he's going to start to see it in everything. It's going to almost make him like paranoid, where it's like, we've seen that before too, where it's like, then he starts to see it in everything. And it's like, nah, man, it's not in everything. I mean, sometimes maybe it is, but in this case, it wouldn't have been.
So I think this is a lesson the real lesson is about communication. And this is how adult level communication happens. It is through this kind of correspondence with your coworkers about whether you think that your relationship is appropriate and it's off-putting to other people. It's also about Riker expressing that he has these feelings about what's going on and he doesn't want there to be any conflict of interest. But so I think that was a good communication. Picard communicates, I trust you to do your job and I trust you to do your job, both of you. and I expect that. Matter of fact, there was a beautiful moment, and Picard tells Darren, he says, "And if you weren't performing well as a science officer, I'd have to relieve you on the Enterprise, right?" So he actually threatens her, like, if you don't perform your duties as what you're assigned to do, then you're jeopardizing your own employment. I can't weigh an extra level of favor on you. And I know he said it jokingly and mockingly.
Yeah, but it was one of those, just kidding, but I'm not.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was one of those, I'm just kidding, but really you have to do your job.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a beautiful moment too. This thing had all the adult kind of the context that I like, and the beautiful moments, conversations. I want to give a shout out though, because I know we're running low on time. I got to get this in because this is one of my favorite things about this episode. And that is the prop department hit this episode out of the park. And the way the director featured those props was also fantastic.
With the rolling piano
thing? Or was it piano?
Because I also saw a piece of prop that I was like, when did this show up? And it was like that glass ship.
The glass sailboat.
Man, that was...
That glass sailboat. There it is. Yeah. First of all, these props were unbelievable.
Yes.
The first prop that I thought was fantastic was when he walked into the dark room and she had the stellar cartography device instrument. And the way it was lit up in the dark looked fantastic. I was like, these guys, good. Because that looked beautiful. Just as a prop, it was beautiful. Especially in the dark. And then the roll-up keyboard, where she had it in basically a hip bag. She had this keyboard in a hip bag, or a fanny pack is what they call it. And she just pulled it out of there and rolled out a keyboard on a stand. It looked beautiful. As far as the prop department designing that, I thought that was fantastic. It had golden keys on it. And then the glass sailboat, again, that was another, beautiful prop that was featured in this episode by the director, who used it as a entryway to the scene with the shot. But I mean, looking through that sailboat and passing the camera, moving past it, I thought, whoa, where have I seen that? Like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, where's this been for 6 seasons? Yeah. And I'm really glad that you brought this up, because I don't think I would have had you not mentioned it, but I noticed this too. And this is something we've kind of mentioned before in the past, which is the whole art department puts in so much work into things that are 99% not going to be seen. And I think you mentioned it quite a few episodes ago, how not only should these things be seen, but you were saying like they should be featured. Show us this painting. Like, because we're always talking about how great this art department is and the props, and they do great work, but one step further, you've got this great prop, you've got this great mural, you've got this great model. Feature it for a second. Give us a hero shot for 2 seconds. It was well lit. It worked. It grabbed all of our attentions, but it didn't take away from the story at all. It just gave us something, a little feast for the eyes for a second. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, the flute itself is a prop that is being called back from Inner Light, and again, just the design of that flute. It has a tassel on it. It is gold and has a pretty, very beautiful engraving on it. So, just remember, these things are just to enhance the story. We see him playing the flute. We see them playing the piano that rolls up, the stellar cartography map thing, and the glass ship. But all of these things are being made by that art department. And they are making the story believable, making it work well. And I just wanted to compliment them on how beautiful. I want that piece. I saw that glass ship. I was like, who has that? Somebody has that glass ship somewhere.
If it's still in one piece, I would be shocked. I don't know how'd they make that. Is it plastic?
I don't know, but it was so beautiful. And then I thought, where is that roll-up keyboard? I want that roll-up keyboard so badly. I know it's probably diminished by now, but it was these are the kinds of props that, it could easily go on sale and people would treasure in their own personal collections. So,
the Ressikan flute, that would go on sale insane.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine how, because the Ressikan Flute, like the Inner Light is, highly touted as one of the best episodes ever. And then it's got this callback, and Picard always has it. And it's kind of like, it's almost like it's Captain Picard's soft spot. It's his
It might be his
one
baseball.
kryptonite.
That's his baseball.
Totally. Yeah. It's that one thing that just holds so much meaning in just one little item.
Yeah.
You just look at that flute and you get sad. You feel something. When they start playing the song, by the way, like I felt a little something. I was like, they started playing that song that I recognize, and it's like it's just within the first 2 or 3 notes, it just feels so like sad and earnest.
It's sad because we know that story, and that's the beautiful thing about this show and this Inner Light and its long-lasting effects. Inner Light is something we as the audience know, and Picard as himself knows. Nobody else knows, really about the lived experience. So we were taken on that journey with him, but nobody else outside of the recounting and the telling of the story has actually experienced and lived that journey with him like we have as the audience. So we understand the special meaning of that flute and when he plays it and how long it took him to get good at it. It looks like something you pick up in one day, but he's spent decades trying to learn that, and so we know all of that work that goes into it. So beautiful callback, fantastic acting by this guest actor who played Lieutenant Commander Darren.
And I think she knows. I think she knows how to play the piano too, by the way, because usually what they do is the old thing where they just show their face doing this thing, and then they cut away to their hands, which they did. But there are a couple points where you see her face and her hands, and I'm like, oh, she's playing something. I mean, she's probably not the person that actually recorded the that piano sound, but she's faking it well enough to convince me that she knows how to play the piano in real life. Like, I mean, she was doing some things where she's actually hitting the notes and doing this and that, where I'm like, I paused now and I was like, wait, that looked like she was actually doing it correct. Because, like, for example, Picard, when he's playing the flute, you can tell he doesn't know what he's doing. They're just like, look, just hear the song, move your fingers.
They're like,
fingers, any finger, it doesn't matter.
We'll just dub the music in.
Yeah, just.
Like, but I look ridiculous right now.
Yeah,
I'm not playing.
Just move any finger when the note,
blow into it.
She was playing. She was playing the piano.
Yeah. Well, let's give her credit because she was fantastic in this episode. I thought, and I wanted to point out one thing, and that I wonder if anybody will bring it up in the free-for-all. But I wonder the hairstyles that Lieutenant Commander Darren was wearing reminded me remarkably similar to Janeway. And I was wondering if they were trying out Janeway's hairstyles on her, because it felt like I was seeing. There were moments when I was watching her performance, I was thinking, I wonder if this woman, she's. There's elements of her that made me think of Janeway, and I haven't seen Voyager, obviously, but the hairstyle for sure.
Yeah, because this is. I mean, there's a couple years in between this and Janeway. So I think it's more the reverse, in that when they've got Janeway, right, they're looking back. They've got like these prototypes of hairstyles that they've used in the past that they're kind of trying to model her after. And notoriously, they were trying all these different hairstyles with Janeway, like from episode to episode to episode. It kept
in this
changing.
Episode, she has multiple.
That's a good point. Yeah.
She has like 5 different hairstyles in this episode, and I was thinking, is this like the dress rehearsal for the Janeway hair drama? So yeah.
All right, so
I felt that
it's just about time for our home run of the day, everybody. Here it is. The home run of the episode. Sirach Lofton, who gets the home run of today's episode?
This is not an easy home run, because I thought a lot of people just really came to the forefront with this. It's a three-parter for me. It's Ronald Wilkerson, Jean-Louis Matthias for writing these episodes. I thought the writing was fantastic. Beautiful episode. You couldn't write a better episode as far as I'm concerned in Star Trek. It's as far as like a filler episode goes, as far as falling in love in one episode and me believing it, this was up there with the best of falling in love in one episode that I actually believed.
Totally agree with that.
So, written by the writers, Robert Weimer, fantastic directing. The way he pulled on that glass ship, the way it looked in the dark room with the, before they put the lights on while they were doing the experiment. Just the way they filmed the corridors inside of that corridor where they were playing the music. All of those things I thought were fantastic. So the writer, director, and as far as acting goes, Sir Patrick Stewart, Mr. Jean-Luc Picard himself, was phenomenal and moved me to a moment of tears, actually, when he had that moment where he thought she was gone, and you can see him register that on his face.
Yeah.
I felt myself tearing up, and I was like, wow, this guy's good.
He's amazing at that. Just given like a little moment where, and it's not like he's reacting strongly. You're not seeing much, but he knows that you don't have to see much because we're focused so deeply into his face and his eyes that we can just read it on his face, especially because we already know what he's probably feeling. So just that ever so slight, he's just feeling something rather than trying to emote something. And he trusts us to be able to pick up on it. And he trusts the DP, the director of photography, to catch that, the editor to keep that take, the director to want to shoot on that. I agree with you completely that I was thinking about this. I was like, this is really hard to decide who's really the standout. And I'm with you on all the ones that you mentioned. And I'm giving the nod to the director because, and it might just be because it's kind of like Michael Jordan. He wasn't winning the MVP every year. But let's be real, he should have. But it's just because people are like, this year you kind of take things for granted. So Picard, he probably deserves to get all the accolades every episode, but like when somebody else stands out, I kind of lean in that direction, so it's kind of unfairly pulled from him. But I do think it's the director because he found the tone of this episode. He found the right notes to hit. He didn't push it too hard. The moments were nice. He trusted the audience to pick up on all the moments. He trusted the audience to be invested. He didn't feel the need to do crazy shots to keep us interested. He didn't feel the need to, add anything to it. He just worked. It's like a chef had some really good ingredients and was like, I don't need to add salt. I don't need to add pepper. I've got some great farm fresh ingredients. I'm just going to create something that emphasizes, and enhances those and highlights those ingredients. And I think that's what he did, and I really appreciate that. I think it was a great episode. All right.
And I'm thankful he didn't include any wonky, misplaced comedy moments as well.
Agreed. I was just looking at my notes. I was like, was there no comedy? The only comedy was a tiny bit when like Geordi was like listening to the music. He's like, what's going on? And then you see Data strut by and Data kind of stops and he comes back. And that was funny, but everything else was cool.
Yeah. Everything was good. It was perfect tone, perfect balance. Just everybody came to the plate and delivered. Ronald Wilkerson, Jean-Louis Matthias, and director, everybody, and the guest star too. I mean, we didn't mention her name, but Lieutenant Commander Darren, the woman that played that character, also deserves a huge shout out on our behalf because she really delivered a stellar performance. Was able to
Wendy Hughes is her name.
Wendy Hughes. She was able to match Picard's energy. She was able to stand toe with Riker. Mm-hmm. She showed. And that moment there when she explained her own like career path, and she's like, "Well, you could retire. You could resign too and follow me on a colony somewhere." I thought that was just a great way for her to stand up for herself and her own career passions and goals, and really a mature kind of breaking up between the two of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
She Wendy Hughes, yeah.
Also, very quickly, that director has directed 9 Star Trek episodes. 1 Deep Space Nine episode, which was Profit and Loss, season 2 episode. And for Next Generation, he did Who Watches the Watchers in season 3. In season 4, he did another wonderful, not too crazy or exciting one, Data's Day, one of the maybe possibly the best episode of season 4 for my money. Violations, not a home run there. Season 5. In season 6, he did Schisms earlier this season, kind of a scary one, and this one. And then season 7, he's got 3 of them coming up, including one of my favorites. All right, everybody. Oh, wait. These are also my favorites. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom T.J. Jackson, Bay out in Missouri, Titus Moeller, Dr. Mohammed Noor, Anil O. Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, The Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manosfi, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Chris Sternick, Greg K. Wickstrom, Cassandra G. Chuck A., Chris Garris, and Jason M. Oken. All right. Yeah. We'll be right back on the 7th rule. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th rule of Sirach frickin' Loft, and it's time for the free-for-all with Melissa Longo.
Hi.
Wearing her Picard shirt. Jason M. Oken is going to drop some knowledge bombs on us.
Hi, everybody.
Mark Zutkoff has chosen some great pictures, again, as always. Eve England is out in Wales. Her sweater matches Sirach's hat from Abyssinian Kiosk. It's the Cisco Kid. Chuck A has an OG 7th Rule shirt because he's an OG of the show. Carrie Schwent is the crafty bear. Everybody knows. She loves the cruise. Chris McGee is unbelievable. He just played video games for 24 hours to raise funds for a children's hospital. Pretty awesome. And and you can still make donations. Extra Life. We'll include that link in the description box below until the end of the year. The Matt Boardman is also here. He likes to have pictures of people making out behind him. It's just kind of his thing. I actually almost used that one too, but I was like, let's see. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Probably be surprised, but I think this is like an 8.5.
Does anybody else have any guess? That could be right on. Anybody else have any guesses that doesn't already know?
I thought it was about 8.4 as well, but I think people have voted less. So I think it should be higher.
7.5.
7.9.
Whoa!
I'll say 7.8. I think it should be higher as well.
Yeah, it's again, it's a guess for IMDb, not a personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait, Eve, you said, what did you say?
I said 8.4, but I don't think. I'm just going to go with that, but I think it's going to be lower than that, really. But
so your guess is lower than your guess. Okay.
Yeah, I'm being positive. But I want to
She's taking the under.
Gotcha. Well, that sound you didn't hear means that somebody did get exactly on, or as the Welsh would say, spot on. Data would say that as well. And I believe it was Jason M. Oken who slyly didn't say 7.5. He said 7.5.
Yeah.
He was right.
Correct. Did we get any? We had a non-appearance mention, didn't we? Who was it?
Wesley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there it is. Right when Riker was straddling Data, like anyway. What's your question, Chris?
Whoa.
Do Cayman's family count? You know, Eileen, Bataille, Maribor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they did mention that.
Yes.
Very good. Wow.
Yeah,
That went over all over our heads.
Yeah, you're right. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, because he said kids, grandkids. He gave everybody a non-appearance
Mhm.
mention. Carrie's giving thumbs up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
That's a good
Maribor.
one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And some kind of or some? I'm not sure if we had one.
We did not, at least not that I could hear.
Yeah, well, you were playing video games all day.
Yeah, it's too busy.
All right. Thank you, Chris McGee. Melissa Longo, will you please get us started off on the right track by telling us what you thought of this episode?
Can I just say
Yeah.
that I loved this episode. I loved this episode. I usually watch these 2 times, in case I miss something the first time. And both times I was like, the whole time, I didn't stop watching. I was engaged the whole time. And that says a lot when it's a quiet episode, when there's not a whole lot of action going on. And but I love it when we get to see Picard break down his walls. I love it when we get to see his vulnerabilities. And he went through so many different kinds of emotions through this entire episode. I love Nella Darren. I think she's fantastic. I think she's a fantastic match for Picard. They had some great chemistry. I love her voice. Her voice and her accent. The thing I love about her accent, and I know she's from Australia, but you didn't get that overtly Australian accent. But it to me, I always imagine an accent like hers would be something we'd hear in the future, because it felt like a melding of different kinds of accents from different kinds of cultures. And I love that. She was warm, she was intelligent, she had this grace, like this old world grace. And I love the way she was with Picard, and then his reaction to her, especially when they're playing music together. He's got this wide-eyed innocent, like he's a child almost, and he's learning from her. One of the most poignant moments for me in this episode was when Commander Darren is trapped on the planet, and Picard is alone in his quarters, and there's this pan up from his flute to where he's sitting alone on the couch, kind of in the corner. And the weight of that moment was just so fantastic, because a lot of people know what it feels like to know that a loved one is in danger and there is absolutely nothing we can do about it. And it's just so, he was small, and I felt it in that moment, and it was so good. There's so much that else I can say about this episode, and I could go on and on and on, and I'm not going to do it here, but I'm going to do it in Things Left Unsaid. So tune in, because this is going to be a good discussion. I have a feeling. Things Left Unsaid. So yes, I love this episode.
Whoa, spicy. I was trying to figure out her accent too. I was like, is that like some kind of fake mid-Atlantic thing that she was trying to pull off? But now I get it. Australian. Cool. Thank you very much, Melissa Longo. Jason M. Oken has thoughts on this episode. He skips it every time. What'd you think of it this time that you had to watch it?
Well, I had to watch it. The interesting part is, and you have to put a lot of this in perspective and just see what Star Trek is actually capable of. I mean, if you look at the last episode, you have sort of a mix of comedy and action, and here you have neither. You basically have you basically have a drama, or kind of mixed with the classic version of a Star Trek musical episode, where you can think of it as as a work romance, and basically with almost no elements of science fiction in it at all. It could happen anywhere and everywhere, and that's probably why we can relate to that. And, one of the sort of faults of romances you see on television, especially in episodic television, in standalones, is that, all of a sudden characters fall in love. I mean, we've seen that in Birthright Part 2. It just seemed unearned. Here, it feels earned. It kind of slowly builds to that, and you can believe that Picard they've both slowly developed this relationship and end up in it. Something similar, not that I'm comparing the episodes, happened in The City on the Edge of Forever. That romance happens within the span of 15, 20 minutes on the screen, maybe even less, but you feel that it's earned. And it's earned here. I mean, this is a quiet episode, except for that sort of little planet hell scene with some mad shots. This is really a bottle show that's quiet, and you actually get to see the actors perform. And, Patrick's performance is wonderful. Wendy Hughes' performance is wonderful. Here. So is everybody else's, frankly, if you look at the choices that Gates makes in that scene in sickbay, where she acts just a little bit jealous, even though if you look on the page, it's not really written that way. There's not much direction there, but at the end, she's supposed to smile and say, you're having another sort of session. But she chose to play it just a little different. If you look at the way Marina played the scene in the ready room when basically Picard asks her for permission, it's very subtle, but these are just wonderful performances. And, Melissa, to your point, that's what makes you watch this.
Yeah.
It feels real. And that's something that, is often said about science fiction. It doesn't seem real. It doesn't feel real or relatable. This is real and relatable and enjoyable. So I do like this episode very much. There's a lot more to say, and I'll save that for later.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Jason M. Oken. What's so funny, Melissa? Up next, Mark Zutkoff. Mark, what say you?
I unabashedly love this episode, except for its ending. But first, the teaser. This is how you do a meet cute on Star Trek. Picard's annoyed that Stellar Cartography is using all the resources on the ship. Then he spoils their experiment. Then he chokes on Nella Darren's herbal tea. Wendy Hughes struggles a bit with the American accent in the teaser, but gets better as the episode goes on. After the concert, I love how Darren quotes Picard's own words back to him about expecting the unexpected on the Enterprise. Nice hand double for Darren on the piano, by the way. And then this episode turns into something truly unexpected, the sequel of sorts to The Inner Light, with Picard and his Ressikan flute meshing beautifully with Darren's roll-up piano. I still want that piano! A few companies make something that looks like that, but they're not good. When Picard asks Riker to replace his absent fencing companion, we get Picard doing finger wagging and clucking to simulate swordplay, and then a priceless facial expression from Riker after he agrees to do it. This is 2 episodes in a row that Picard's had to climb through Jeffrey's tubes, but this time was for a much more pleasant cause. Geordi's reaction to hearing their music at a distance is great, and when the music stops, we get a truly romantic moment between Picard and Darren, if a bit cliched. The scene with Troy and Picard where she gives him permission to see Darren is sweet. But now things start to change. Riker goes to Captain Picard to express his concerns that the Picard-Darren relationship could affect Riker's decisions. Picard gives him the right answer, and Riker leaves satisfied, but Picard is troubled. The seeds of doubt have been sown. Brannon Braga apparently complained there wasn't a sufficient science fiction element in this script, but I thought the firestorm was quite adequate and very well realized on screen. The character moments of the episode drove the story in compelling fashion. But then the crisis comes, and Picard clearly communicates that he's shut down purely through his body language when he thinks Darren is dead. That scene between them is fine, until Picard suggests that Darren resign her commission, and Darren suggests he do the same. Is that really the only answer? And she has to leave the ship? That breaks my heart as it did Picard's. There should have been an alternative. But the good outweighs the bad, and this is an episode that has stayed with me all these years later. And my home pun of the episode, when Picard and Darren were climbing up the Jeffries tube, Nella should have encouraged him by saying, "You can do it."
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mark Zutkoff. All right. Eve England is out in Wales. Eve, what do you and the British group think of this?
I mean,
fans.
I have to agree with what everyone else has said so far. I thought this was an exceptional episode. I can imagine that some people didn't like it because overall the pace was just so much slower compared with what we had, last week. So, chalk and cheese in terms of sort of the style of them. But in my view, I just really felt that the pacing was deliberately measured. It was very considered. And as Melissa experienced, I was weirdly captivated right from the start, even though that, there wasn't, a huge amount going on. I was really not expecting this to be, as Mark said, an episode exploring Picard's trauma from Inner Light. Looking back to when we did the review for Inner Light, I remember being completely frustrated that we then never had the chance to really fully understand, how the experience had actually impacted Picard. And it kind of just felt like it had been glossed over and he'd had this horrific experience from the realization that it was all not real. But here we really do get to actually see and witness the pain that he's experiencing. So I thought that was just, a really refreshing thing for me to see. And I thought the way that they sort of tied in the different musical interludes, I just found, that was just beautiful. And they picked such amazing music for those pieces and the way they kind of did their improv. And I just felt that, that alongside then the ending and how it was just really gut-wrenching when we kind of look back and see how that sort of tied in by reference to what Picard experienced in Inner Light. And actually, I was trying to explain how Picard was sort of feeling and the way sort of Patrick Stewart was portraying that pain. And there's a Welsh word called hiraeth, and there's not an English sort of direct translation of it, but it's used to sort of express a sort of a longing or a state of grief for home or of a connection that is forever lost. And I just felt that, the way that he played his flute and the way that he was talking, to everyone about this experience, really to me, it was sort of so poignant the way he sort of described that. So I thought that felt to me like a really perfect word to sort of express how he was feeling. So yeah, in summary, really refreshing, really good to see them go back and experience that trauma. We've had Picard have so much trauma and not really sort of seen it, but I felt that this was accumulation of all of that trauma that he's felt, particularly from Inner Light. And yeah, I think it really just gives us that depth to Picard. So again, for my journey with Picard, I just feel like, he really felt like a sort of fully formed character now. And yeah, I've definitely completed that circle to liking the Picard character.
Wow, and it only took 5 2/3 of a season. Fantastic, Eve. 140 episodes or so, give or take.
I got there.
Can you give us that Welsh word and the definition in the Zoom chat when you get a chance? That'd be really cool. That was a good one. Thank you very much, Eve England out in Wales. Chuck A is a TNG fanatic, so he knows himself some TNG episodes. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, it's a very, very good episode. You got two very good Picard episodes back to back. I thought of Melissa when I heard them do the duet of Frere Jacques. You made a comment about that a few times, and I like I like the duet with the tune from the Inner Light itself that they did, and it was the scenes where they were climbing up the conduits up until she found the perfect. I forget how she phrased it. The perfect spot for music to play the piano there, and then Geordi said, listening, hey, I hear music. And then Data comes over, and of course, it had stopped by then. But the episode itself was really a lot slower paced than the previous episode, but I really loved the interactions between Darren and Picard. And then, they had the drama with the firestorms at the end, and I guess she had no really thing she could do but get a transfer because it was affecting Picard the way he could command the ship, I guess, having the relationship. But a really very good episode. I enjoyed seeing it again.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it, Chuck A. All right, should be TNG Fantastic. Carrie
Nice.
Schwent, aka Crafty Bear, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like I loved it. I didn't really have much of a memory of it prior to it. The only thing that came to mind when I saw that it was coming up was having a memory of her unrolling that cool keyboard. I just love watching it unroll. I tried taking piano lessons when I was young, and it did not go very well. I think I stuck it out for like a month before I'm like, don't make me do this anymore. I was having a hard time with one hand doing one thing while the other hand does something else. It just didn't quite connect. My talents lie elsewhere. But I love it. Picard clearly likes strong women. You've had Bosch, and there's the on again off again thing with Beverly. I also loved the scene in sick bay. It was making me laugh. Nella and Picard's chemistry just from the first meeting was just fantastic. They clicked so well together. You believed it instantly. And I'm kind of on Picard's side in that scene. It doesn't matter what time of night it is. If you don't want someone walking in, lock the door. Or post a sign outside that said, "Hey, we need it to stay dark in here. Don't come in." Ring the bell first to make sure it's okay. Yeah, I'm on her side for setting their work back for however long it was going to take for their eyes to adjust again. Poor Picard in that scene. He's just trying to get some work done when he can't sleep. He can't call this guy he wants to talk to. He can't even read anything from the library computer. He can't even have his tea for crying out loud. The poor guy. I wish they could have kept her around, even if she did end up leaving. They could have made the long distance thing work and have her pop back in from time to time. Maybe they could have even had her as his wife in like his thing in the Nexus. But sadly, they chose not to, and that does make me a little sad. And I think after seeing season 2 of Picard, it kind of explains his relationship issues a little bit more. If anybody who is listening or watching hasn't seen that yet, go watch that season, and it might help you understand. At least it does, kind of for me. But I love the actress. Her voice is fantastic. I thought she was in Dr. Quinn, but I checked her IMDb. It turns out she wasn't, which made me a little bit sad. But sadly, we lost her to cancer in 2014. She was only 61. Mm-hmm. Who knows if she might have had it? They might have figured out a way to maybe bring her back for Star Trek Picard, perhaps if she was still around. Forgive me, my notes are a little more scattered than usual. Them playing the music in the Jeffries Tube junction just was giving me just full body goosebumps. It was beautiful. I loved the piano half, especially of the Interlight music. I want that duet. It's like a ringtone. I might have to go back and just listen to the episode again and do like a voice recording and figure out a way to add that. The scene when they're trying later on in that scene where they're trying to hear the music and then it stops. I've got a note on that I'll save for things left unsaid, so I'll tease that. It doesn't matter as long as you enjoy it, but yeah, with Riker absolutely cracked me up. And I totally relate to that because, as I've mentioned before, I've got my own ball and shoes because I enjoy going bowling. But as Eve England would say, I am complete rubbish at it. I get more gutter balls than strikes. But it's fun. I enjoy it, even though I suck at it. It doesn't stop me from going a couple of times a year and keeping track of my scores like a masochist. But yeah, I don't know why I do that, but and yet I do because it's just morbidly fascinating. But uh, so, I understand Picard's knee-jerk reaction in the turbo lift when he gets all suddenly formal, because he's not used to being around other people when he's with this girl that he's dating. And unlike Worf's apology and Birthright, Picard gets his apology correct, does not further dig himself into a hole. They have a nice calm discussion about it, and they work it out. Another reason why she is kind of perfect for him. Sorry, Beverly, but I like her a little bit more. But she Bella is the inspiration for the limerick for the episode. So we'll finish there. Our meet was not exactly cute. Turns out he plays a beautiful flute. Where this goes, I wish I could see, but we were not meant to be. In this choice, I must be resolute.
Nice. Thank you very much, Carrie Schwent, aka Crafty Bear. All right, Chris McGee. A lot of energy drinks, I'm thinking, to get through this last 24 hours. But what'd you think of this one?
Nah, no energy drinks. I'm made of sterner stuff. So this, I think, is one of those uncommon episodes focused more on drama than sci-fi, as Jason had mentioned. And as a result, we are treated to a fantastic hour of television. It's not often that we get to see the romantic side of Picard, and after his more comedic / adventurous romance on Raiso in Captain's Holiday, it's nice to get a more serious, dramatic one here. I love that this not only continues Picard's interest in music and playing his Ressikan flute, but it even tells the story surrounding the flute to Darren. And she absorbs that heavy story quite well, I think. And I appreciate that this episode explores the dangers of serving on board a starship and how that can strain relationships. I mean, of course, Picard knows this on a surface level, but he's never had to face it himself and deal with the consequences personally until now. I like how Patrick Stewart makes a subtle shift in Picard's behavior after first meeting Lieutenant Darren. It gets more obvious later, but at the start, it's just enough to get Riker to raise his eyebrow, but not enough to suspect that he's like influenced by or replaced with some alien presence or something like an allegiance. Oh, and to expand upon Melissa's observation, when Picard believes Darren hadn't survived, and we see him alone in his quarters, closing the box with the Ressikan flute, I appreciate that scene, especially without dialogue, because it isn't necessary. We all know what's going through his mind and his heart. And besides, he explains it later to Darren anyway. But I also think it was shot beautifully, like Melissa said, with the camera swinging down and moving to angle up to Picard through the glass desk is just wonderfully shot. And as Picard tells Darren in the end that, they can still see each other, arrange shore leave together, etc., I think it's obvious that both of them know that will never happen. And I think both actors did an excellent job conveying that knowledge subtly in their performances. One final thing, observation, stellar cartography sure gets quite an upgrade between now and the next time we'll see it, ... As for my memorable quote, it is Dr. Crusher saying, I like her, very forthright.
Yep. Thanks very much, Dark Lord Chris McGee. All right, the Matt Boardman with the makeout picture behind him. What did you think of this episode?
I love a good episode that deconstructs a character, or at least maybe not deconstruct, but provides character growth. It's fantastic to hear Eve say that she likes Picard now, and to look back where we started with Picard in season 1. And we need episodes like this for those moments of character growth. It's something that Deep Space Nine did so well. And I kind of feel like we get moments of that in Next Generation, and as much as I love Next Generation, it doesn't quite have that same level of character development that Deep Space Nine does. But this is one of those episodes that does, and I think that's fantastic. That we get to see that, and like Jason pointed out, this is a situation where I'm sure some of us have found ourselves in at one point or another, where you fall for somebody, and ultimately your life circumstances are such that it while the emotion may be there, the practicality of the relationship doesn't necessarily make sense, and it doesn't work out, and that's a sad, and it's a tragic thing. Some of us have been in situations where we have somebody that we have deep feelings for, that we love, who are in a situation that is dangerous, and that feeling of hopelessness that we have, as we have to sit back and there's nothing that we can do about it. So I mean, the writing team, hats off to them for tapping into those real life situations that are relatable to the audience, and even more so to Patrick, and I forget the name of the lady who played
Wendy.
now. Yeah, to them both for playing it so well. And what I think is great about it, yes, we do end up going down to the planet, and there's the whole firestorm thing, which I have something to say about the firestorm and things left unsaid. But I just just great performances by everybody, because it's a bottle show in a sense, without feeling like a bottle show, right? We have the expansiveness of this is what it means to be in Star Trek and the Next Generation and everything, but we brought it right in here. And to me, to pull the musical performances, because I am a piano player and I sing, when you as a performer can you capture your audience, right? And you take their world from this and you bring them right here to where their focus is on you. You're doing your job. Like you have succeeded in your performance. So I just, my hat's off to them for their performances. I absolutely love the piano and the flute duets in this. I think that's fantastic. But I have to say, I have beef with the way that this ended, because the Enterprise is over a half a mile long, and there are lots of departments, and there's no reason that she had to transfer off the ship just because she and Picard had a relationship and it's not working out. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever dated somebody that you work with and you still have to go to work and see them, that's another opportunity for growth. And so I feel like that, to me, the fact that she was just like, oh, my bad, I guess I'm going to leave. I just think that was, I guess, looking at it through a 2025 lens, I think that there could have been a more mature response to that than for her to just run away and leave. But that's just my feelings.
Whoa, edgy. Thank you very much, the Matt Boardman. Sounds like everybody loved this episode, though. Well, Jake's final take. Let's find out about that.
All right. Well, I just want to give props to the props department. I thought they really nailed it in this episode. Love the glass ship. Love the keyboard and the little stellar cartography thing. I thought all of that was really cool props. So props to the props. This episode also could have kind of been called The Outer Light, because this was him experiencing that same kind of love in real life and in the outside. And also having to kind of let go of it at the end in a similar fashion. So this was his outer light in a way. Picard finally gets some action and he walks in and challenges Riker to a sword fight. Riker's like, seriously, bro? Like, calm down. Like, I'm not even the guy for that. That's a weird thing that he would just randomly come up with that. I did like Picard's casual clothes. He was in some casual clothes this episode. He had outfits that we haven't seen him in, and there was a few of them that I think Jake would like to incorporate into his wardrobe. So let me know where you're shopping at, Picard. There was moments there with Commander Darren. I thought she delivered her lines fantastically. the moment there where Picard was kind of explaining the whole inner light situation to her, and she's looking like, why are you telling me this? Like, I don't even understand this. And I thought, that was a good facial expression on her part as far as like, what does this mean exactly? And he said, I just want you to know what my music means to me. And the way she registered, like, oh, okay, now I see why you're telling me this. Very good reactions from her. Another moment that I loved on her delivery was when she was found alive and she did confront Picard, and she said, I thought that you might have felt guilty for telling me to stay there. And she said, would you? Like, she kind of calls him out, and the way she did it was fantastic. I thought the delivery there was fantastic as an actor. And then lastly, as far as her delivery is concerned, when they were doing the duet scene, she says to him, not used to playing with anyone. And I thought that was true in more ways than one, right? So I thought that was another very good delivery on her part, as far as the lines and being cleverly written and delivered. When Riker is short with somebody and is upset, it is all over his face. Yeah. He does not hide it. Like, she was like, yeah, I want to ask you about the transfer. And he's like, oh. like there's no subtlety there. Like, people are going to ask you for stuff. You're literally in charge. We have to come up to you and ask you for permission to sign off on things. And for him to wear it so bracively on it, just cover it up a little bit, Riker. You can't be that over the top. It was too much, right? He was like, oh, he's rolling his eyes, like, oh God, what do you want from me? It's like, I'm asking you a question, like, about work-related stuff. So yeah, Picard, fantastic acting when he had the realization expressions on his face when he kind of felt that he lost her. I thought that was just hands down fantastic acting by Patrick Stewart. And also when he says to her, all I could think about was my music and how it would never give me joy again. And I thought, that's the feeling. That's that sentence, that phrase really encaptured how it feels to lose somebody and the void that feels. Like, he would have never opened that flute box again. That box was going in the back of the storage. He didn't want to see that flute again if he had lost her. And I can understand that. And I mean, the last thing I'll say is, how could you not have workplace relationships if I'm on a starship? It has to be there, because there's no other options for you. Like, so you have to be able to build the relationships aboard the crew of that. It has to be something that's, because you're off for years at a time, and like, if only your interactions are with alien races or on planets that you visit, then that's gonna really. Can you imagine how horny they would be on every mission?
Sounds like Sirach is officially endorsing Picard and Beverly right now.
Gives new meaning to the term warp drive.
Yeah. I could just only imagine they'd be like,
are you trying to get a Risa out of us?
Yes, yeah. But it would be ridiculous. So yes, they have to have some protocol in which workplace relationship is acceptable, as long as it's not a person leveraging their position and power over another person and using that to intimidate or bully them into a relationship. I think as long as those lines are not crossed and you have consent and it's a even playing field of relationship, then of course it has to be allowed under these circumstances when your crew is off and about in the galaxy for years on end. So yes, that's my final take.
All right. And that's it for us, everybody. Unless you're part of Things Left Unsaid, patreon.com/seventh rule, and you can enjoy the final segment, which is hilarious. We give you so much great information and goodies. laughter. Eve secretly divulges that she's actually liked Picard since the beginning, but she's just been building up the drama for 5.5 seasons.
Yeah, right.
Really, really good marketing. She's a genius. So anyway, but if you're not a part of it, hey, we'll see you next time on Wait. Thank you to the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Carrie Schwent, Chuck A., Eve England, Mark Zutkoff, Jason M. Oken, Giggly Melissa Longo, for myself, Sirach, Melissa, and Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. We will see you next time. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.